I was folding Peter's shirts when my phone buzzed with the text that destroyed my life. I remember everything about that moment. The lavender fabric softener scent, the warm cotton against my fingers, the way sunlight streamed through our bedroom window. 5 years of marriage had taught me exactly how Peter liked his collars. Crisp, perfect, ready for the corporate world he navigated so confidently. My phone lit up with Ria's name. My sister-in-law rarely texted me directly, which should have been my first warning. Oops, wrong chat, ignore. Before I could respond, 3 more messages pinged in rapid succession. OMG, delete that. Zoe, don't look. Peter is going to kill me. Of course I looked. The message she'd accidentally sent was a screenshot of what appeared to be the Stevenson family group chat, the one I'd never been added to, despite 5 years of marriage. There were messages from Ria, from my mother-in-law Rosalind, and from Peter, my husband, and beneath their messages, photos. My stomach lurched as I dropped the half-folded shirt. The images showed Peter with his arm around a woman I'd never seen before. Her face was turned up to his, laughing. His hand rested on her lower back, fingers splayed possessively across the red fabric of her dress. In the next photo, they were kissing. The timestamp was yesterday, when Peter had told me he was working late. I sat heavily on the edge of our bed, my legs suddenly unable to support me. With shaking fingers, I scrolled through the conversation above the photos. Peter had to get out of there. Z was being clingy again. Ria, aw, poor baby brother. At least you have Melissa to comfort you. Rosalind, Peter, you really should be more discreet. What if Zoe saw these? Peter, she won't. She never checks my phone, too trusting for her own good. Ria, it's almost sad how clueless she is. Remember Thanksgiving when she kept talking about having kids soon? Peter, God, don't remind me. I've been putting her off for months. Rosalind, well, you certainly can't have children with her now. Not with your situation with Melissa becoming more serious. My vision blurred. I couldn't breathe. The room that had felt so warm and safe moments ago now seemed to close in around me, suffocating me with its lies. The matching nightstands, the framed wedding photo, the closet where our clothes hung side by side. All of it suddenly felt like an elaborate stage set. My phone buzzed again, and again, and again. Ria, Zoe, seriously, don't read that. Ria, it's not what it looks like. Ria, Peter will explain everything. Ria, hello? I couldn't respond. What could I possibly say? Thanks for accidentally showing me that my entire marriage is a sham? Instead, I opened the photos again, forcing myself to look at every detail. The date stamp, the location tag, Westlake Hotel, the way Peter's fingers tangled in this woman's hair, the same way they used to tangle in mine. The bedroom door opened and I jumped. Hey, babe. Peter's voice was casual, normal. He loosened his tie as he walked in, tossing his jacket onto the chair in the corner. Traffic was a nightmare. Davis kept us late again with that Henderson proposal, and then... He stopped when he saw my face. What's wrong? I held up my phone, screen facing him. Ria sent me something interesting. The color drained from his face so quickly I thought he might faint. For one absurd moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Zoe, I can explain... Explain what? My voice sounded strange, distant. Explain how you've been cheating on me? Or explain how your entire family knows and thinks it's hilarious how clueless I am? He took a step toward me, hands outstretched. It's not what you think. A laugh escaped me, high and brittle. Really? Because I think my husband is sleeping with another woman while his family mocks me behind my back. Please tell me how that's not what's happening here. It's complicated. He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture I once found endearing. Now it made me want to scream. Melissa is... She's just... Just what? Just sex? Just the woman you're getting serious with, according to your mother? His phone started ringing. He glanced at it, then declined the call. Ria. Of course. How long? I asked. He looked away. Zoe, how long? 8 months. 8 months. While I was planning our anniversary trip. While I was talking about starting a family. While I was folding his goddamn shirts. My phone buzzed with a text from Rosalind. Peter told us you found out. Let's not be dramatic about this. We should talk like adults. Another text followed. These things happen in marriages, dear. The Stevenson men have always had certain needs. Your mother-in-law understands this. Something cold and hard crystallized in my chest. Not just betrayal from Peter, but from all of them. They'd watched me play the role of devoted wife while laughing at my naivety. I stood up, suddenly calm. Get out, I said. This is my house too, Peter replied, a flash of anger replacing his guilt. Not for long. I walked to the closet and pulled out my suitcase. I'm staying at Isabel's tonight. When I come back tomorrow, I expect you gone. You're overreacting. We can work through this. I turned to face him, this stranger I'd shared a bed with for 5 years. No, we can't. And you know what else? This ends now. All of it. The look of confusion on his face almost made me smile. He had no idea what was coming. Isabel's spare bedroom felt both foreign and familiar as I sat on the edge of the mattress, staring at my phone. 17 missed calls from Peter, 8 from Rhea, 3 from Rosalind. I'd silenced them all after the first hour. You need to eat something, Isabel said, appearing in the doorway with a mug of tea and a sandwich. Her concerned expression made my throat tighten. I'm not hungry. I know. She set the plate down anyway. But you'll need your strength. For what? I wanted to ask. For the divorce? For the humiliation? For rebuilding my entire life from scratch? But I just nodded and took the tea. Have you called Michaela yet? Isabel asked, sitting beside me. Michaela Hunter, the best divorce attorney in the city, according to everyone who knew her. Also, Isabel's cousin. It's only been 12 hours, I said. Isn't that a bit fast? Isabel's eyes hardened. Peter won't waste time, neither should you. She was right. I'd already received an email from Peter's company account, so formal, so cold, suggesting we discuss terms amicably before involving outside parties. As if this were a minor business dispute and not the implosion of our life together. I'll call her in the morning, I promised. But sleep never came. I lay awake replaying every moment of our marriage, searching for clues I'd missed. The late nights, the business trips that seemed to multiply, the way he'd stopped reaching for me months ago, 8 months to be exact. By 6 a.m., I was sitting in my car outside Michaela's office building, waiting for it to open. My reflection in the rearview mirror looked hollow-eyed and pale. I barely recognized myself. At 8:30, I was sitting across from Michaela herself, a woman whose reputation for ruthless efficiency was immediately apparent. She didn't offer platitudes or sympathy, just listened intently as I explained the situation, her fingers steepled under her chin. "And you have these texts? The photos?" she asked when I finished. I nodded, sliding my phone across her desk. I took screenshots before they could delete anything. She scrolled through them, her expression unchanging. Smart move. I wasn't thinking clearly, just reacting. Sometimes our instincts serve us well. She handed back my phone. What do you want from this, Zoe? The question caught me off guard. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? My life back? My voice cracked. I want him to hurt like I'm hurting. For the first time, Michaela's professional mask slipped. Something like understanding flickered in her eyes. That's normal, she said, but it's not a legal strategy. Then what is? That depends. She leaned forward. How much do you know about Peter's finances? I blinked. Everything. I manage our household accounts. No, she shook her head. His personal accounts, his family's business, the Stevenson holdings. Not much, I admitted. Peter always said I shouldn't worry about that side of things. Michaela's smile was sharp. Of course he did. She opened a drawer and pulled out a file. This isn't the first time I've dealt with a Stevenson man. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Peter's father had similar habits, and his grandfather before him. She tapped the file. The family has a pattern. You represented their ex-wives? One of them. The others weren't as fortunate in their legal counsel. She paused. Or as quick to act. The implication hung between us. I wasn't the first woman to sit in this chair, devastated by a Stevenson betrayal. I wouldn't be the last. There's something else you should know, Michaela said, her voice softening slightly. This Melissa woman, she's not the first for Peter either. The room seemed to tilt. What? 3 years ago, there was another woman, Amanda Reeves. She worked at his firm. 3 years ago, when we were trying to get pregnant, when I'd suffered that miscarriage and Peter had been so distant, so unavailable. How do you know this? I whispered. Amanda came to me when she found out Peter was married. She was distraught. Did she know about me? No, Peter told her he was divorced. Michaela's gaze was steady. She wanted to warn you, but I advised against it. Legally speaking, it would have complicated things for her. Rage surged through me, hot and clarifying, not just at Peter, but at this entire system that protected men like him, that turned women against each other, that made us collateral damage in their stories. What happened to her? Peter paid her off. She signed an NDA and moved to Seattle. I stood up abruptly, needing to move, to breathe. So that's their playbook? Cheat, pay, repeat? Essentially. Michaela watched me pace. But you have an advantage they don't expect. What's that? Me. She closed the file. And the fact that you know their game now. I stopped pacing. So what do? First, we protect your assets. Then we gather evidence. And then, her smile was cold, we hit them where it hurts. My phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. You don't know me, but I know what Peter and his family did to you. I have information that could help. Meet me? I showed Michaela the message. Could be a trap, she warned. Peter trying to get to you. Or someone else who wants to see the Stevensons fall. I thought about the family that had mocked me, the husband who had betrayed me, the life I'd believed in that had turned out to be a carefully constructed lie. I'll meet them, I decided. Michaela nodded. Just not alone. As I left her office, another text came through, this one from Peter. Zoe, please, let's talk. I made a mistake, but we can fix this. Don't do anything rash. Too late, I thought. The woman who would have forgiven him, who would have fought for their marriage at any cost, she died yesterday afternoon, between one heartbeat and the next. In her place stood someone new, someone Peter had never met, someone he should fear. The coffee shop was busy enough to feel anonymous, but quiet enough for conversation. I'd arrived 20 minutes early, choosing a corner table with a clear view of the entrance. Michaela sat at the counter, pretending to work on her laptop, close enough to intervene if needed. I'd barely slept, spending the night combing through 5 years of financial records. Joint accounts, credit card statements, tax returns, looking for discrepancies, for evidence, for anything that might give me leverage. What I found left me reeling. Large cash withdrawals, transfers to accounts I'd never seen before, credit card charges for hotels, restaurants, and jewelry stores on dates when Peter claimed to be working late or traveling for business. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was financial, too. The bell above the door jingled. A man in his mid-40s walked in, scanning the room until his eyes landed on me. He was tall, with salt and pepper hair and the weathered look of someone who'd seen too much. Not at all what I'd expected. He approached my table. Zoe, I nodded, keeping my expression neutral. Albert Norris. He extended his hand. Thank you for meeting me. You said you have information, I replied, not taking his hand. He withdrew it with a small smile, sliding into the chair across from me. Direct. I appreciate that. I'm not here for small talk. No, I imagine not. He glanced around, then leaned forward. I used to work for Stevenson Holdings, chief financial officer for 7 years. My pulse quickened. Used to? I was fired 3 months ago. Officially for strategic differences. Unofficially, he paused. Let's just say I asked too many questions about certain financial irregularities. What kind of irregularities? Albert's eyes met mine. The kind that could send people to prison. I tried to keep my face impassive, but something must have shown because he added, "You're not surprised." I spent last night looking at my husband's financial records, I admitted. There are discrepancies. That's putting it mildly. He pulled out a flash drive and placed it on the table between us. This contains evidence of systematic fraud going back at least a decade. Shell companies, tax evasion, embezzlement from their own clients' accounts. I stared at the small device. Why give this to me? Because you're their blind spot. His voice hardened. The Stevensons destroyed my career. They're trying to pin their crimes on me. But they never saw you as a threat, just Peter's compliant little wife. The words stung, even though I knew they were true. I'd played that role perfectly, hadn't I? What do you want in return? I asked. Justice, he shrugged, and maybe a little revenge. I didn't touch the flash drive. How do I know this isn't a setup, that you're not working for them? Albert laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. Check my background, talk to former colleagues. The Stevensons have been trying to discredit me for months. I've got nothing left to lose. Everyone has something to lose. His expression softened slightly. My wife died 2 years ago. Cancer. The Stevensons knew I needed the health insurance, the income. They used that leverage to keep me quiet about what I was seeing, until I couldn't stay quiet anymore. Something in his voice, raw grief mingled with determination, resonated with me. Still, I hesitated. I need time to think about this. Of course, he stood. My number's on the drive, but don't wait too long. They're already moving assets offshore. After he left, Michaela joined me. Well? He seems legitimate, I said. But this is bigger than I expected. Financial fraud usually is. She eyed the flash drive. We should have my tech guy check this before we open it. Could be malware. I nodded, suddenly exhausted. The weight of everything, the betrayal, the lies, the potential criminality of it all, pressed down on me. What if I just walk away? I whispered. Take whatever settlement they offer and start over somewhere new. Michaela's expression softened. You could. Many would. But they'd win, again, and someone else would eventually pay the price. I thought about Amanda Reeves, forced to sign an NDA and restart her life. About Albert, whose career was destroyed because he tried to do the right thing. About all the other women who might come after me, unknowingly stepping into Peter's web of lies. I need to go home, I said suddenly. Michaela frowned. To the house? Is that safe? Peter's at work. And there are things I need, documents, my laptop, clothes. I paused, and I want to see it one more time, before everything changes. She nodded. I'll drive you. The house looked exactly as I'd left it 2 days ago, sunlight streaming through windows, family photos on the walls, the illusion of happiness preserved like a museum exhibit. I moved through the rooms methodically, gathering what I needed. In the home office, I found Peter's external hard drive in its usual drawer. I took it. In our bedroom, I opened the closet and stared at our clothes hanging side by side. The intimacy of it, his suits next to my dresses, made my eyes burn. I reached for a sweater and something fell from the shelf above, a small velvet box. Inside was a diamond bracelet I'd never seen before. The receipt was still tucked in the lid. Purchased 3 weeks ago. Not for me. I was about to close it when I noticed something else. A folded piece of paper beneath the receipt. A handwritten note. For my Melissa, the first of many gifts for our new beginning. All my love, P. New beginning. The words echoed in my mind as pieces clicked into place. Peter wasn't just having an affair. He was planning a future with her. My phone buzzed with a text from Michaela. Car outside. Someone just pulled into the driveway. I shoved the bracelet and note into my bag and hurried downstairs, slipping out the back door just as I heard a key in the front lock. In Michaela's car, I finally let the tears come. Not for the marriage I'd lost, that had been a mirage, but for the woman I'd been. Trusting, devoted, blind. I want to look at Albert's flash drive, I said, wiping my eyes. And then I want to destroy them. All of them. Michaela nodded, her eyes on the road. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Albert's flash drive contained enough evidence to bury the Stevensons 10 times over. Falsified loan applications, shell companies in the Caymans, client funds borrowed for personal investments. The scale of it was staggering. They've been doing this for years, I said, scrolling through spreadsheets on Michaela's office computer. How has no one caught them? People like the Stevensons don't get caught unless someone on the inside turns on them. Michaela tapped Albert's name on a document. Like him. I rubbed my temples, fighting a headache. 3 days since my life imploded and I'd barely slept. What's our next move? We need more than just Albert's word in these files. We need corroborating evidence that can't be dismissed as the revenge of a disgruntled employee. She closed the laptop. And you need rest. You look terrible. Thanks. I'm serious, Zoe. You can't fight them if you collapse. She was right. I felt hollowed out, running on nothing but rage and caffeine. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw Peter's text messages, heard Ria's mocking laughter, felt the weight of that diamond bracelet in my palm, a gift for his future with another woman. I'll try, I promised. But that night, sleep eluded me again. Around midnight, I gave up and called the one person who might understand. Zoe, Isabel answered, voice thick with sleep. Are you okay? No, I admitted. Can you meet me? An hour later, we sat on a bench overlooking the river, the city lights reflecting on the dark water. I told her everything, Albert, the financial fraud, the bracelet. Jesus, she whispered when I finished. This is a lot. Too much? I asked, suddenly uncertain. Am I crazy for pursuing this? She was quiet for a long moment. Do you remember when we were in college and that guy Jake cheated on me? I nodded. Jake had been Isabel's first serious boyfriend. You told me something I never forgot. You said, the worst part isn't the betrayal. It's letting the betrayal define you. She turned to face me. This isn't just about Peter anymore, is it? No, I admitted. It's about all of them. The entire system they've built on lies and exploitation. And what happens to you when it's over? When they're exposed or in jail or whatever the end game is here? I hadn't thought that far ahead. I don't know. That's what scares me. She took my hand. I support you, Zoe. 100%. But I need to know you're not losing yourself in this. Her concern pierced through my armor of anger. For a moment, I felt like myself again, the person I'd been before, capable of feeling something besides rage and hurt. I'm not, I said, squeezing her hand. I promise. But as I drove to meet Albert the next morning, I wondered if that was true. We'd arranged to meet at a diner on the outskirts of town, the kind of place the Stevensons would never set foot in. Albert was already there, nursing a coffee, looking as exhausted as I felt. You've seen the files, he said. It wasn't a question. I nodded, sliding into the booth across from him. It's extensive. And that's just what I managed to download before they locked me out. He stirred his coffee absently. There's more. Like what? He glanced around, then leaned forward. Rosalind is the key. She controls the family trust. Every major decision, every significant transfer, it all goes through her. This surprised me. Peter had always portrayed his mother as a figurehead, someone who attended charity galas and hosted dinner parties while the men handled business. Are you sure? Positive. She's the architect of the whole system. His expression darkened. Peter and his father are just the public faces. I thought back to Rosalind's text message after the revelation. These things happen in marriages, dear. The Stevenson men have always had certain needs, not just enabling her son's behavior, protecting the family's interests. We need proof, I said. I might have a way to get it. Albert hesitated. But it's risky. How risky? Breaking and entering risky. I stared at him. You can't be serious. Rosalind keeps a private ledger, old school, handwritten. It documents everything the digital records don't. He tapped the table nervously. It's in her home office. And you want to what? Break into her house? Not me. His eyes met mine. You. That's insane, I said flatly. Is it? Your family, or were. You've been to their home countless times. You know the layout, the security system. I'd still be breaking in. Not if Peter invited you. I frowned. Why would he do that? Because you're going to tell him you want to talk, to hear his side, to consider reconciliation. My stomach turned at the thought. No, absolutely not. Think about it, Zoe. One conversation, one opportunity to access that ledger, and then you never have to see him again. I pushed away from the table. This is crossing a line. They crossed it first, Albert said quietly. Every time they stole from clients, every time they lied, every time Peter betrayed you. I walked out without responding, needing air, space to think. Outside, I leaned against my car, breathing deeply. My phone buzzed. A text from Peter. I miss you. Please come home. We can work this out. Followed by another. Mom's hosting dinner Sunday. Everyone wants to see you, to apologize. I stared at the screen, a plan forming. Not Albert's reckless scheme, but something else. Something that wouldn't require breaking any laws. I called Michaela. I need a favor, I said when she answered. Something unorthodox. I'm listening. I'm going to dinner at Rosalind's on Sunday. I need you to prepare some documents for me to bring. What kind of documents? The kind that will make them think I'm willing to settle quietly. I watched a family walk into the diner, parents holding hands, children laughing. A normal life I'd never have again. And I need a recording device, something they won't detect. Zoe, Michaela's voice was cautious. What exactly are you planning? I'm giving them what they expect, I said. The compliant little wife ready to be bought off. And then, I thought about Isabel's question, what happens when it's over, and finally had an answer. And then, I show them who I really am. Sunday arrived with the weight of inevitability. I stood in Isabel's bathroom, staring at my reflection as I applied makeup with methodical precision. Foundation to cover the shadows under my eyes. Blush to bring color to my hollowed cheeks. Lipstick in Peter's favorite shade. The woman in the mirror looked like me, but wasn't. She was a construct, the version of Zoe that the Stevensons expected to see. Wounded, but malleable. Hurt, but desperate to reconcile. The recording device Michaela had provided was disguised as a simple silver pendant. Undetectable, she'd assured me, but powerful enough to capture conversations from across a room. You don't have to do this, Isabel said from the doorway. I fastened the necklace. Yes, I do. At least let me drive you. Wait nearby in case... In case what? They hold me hostage? I attempted a smile. They won't risk anything that messy. Isabel didn't smile back. I don't trust them, and I don't trust this plan. That makes two of us. I turned to face her. But it's the best option we have. She stepped forward, adjusting my necklace slightly. Just promise me something. If it feels wrong at any point, you'll leave. Immediately. I promise. The drive to Rosalind's estate took 40 minutes, each mile increasing the tightness in my chest. I'd spent countless evenings here over the years, always feeling slightly out of place among the antiques and old money. Now I understood why. I'd never truly been welcome. Peter was waiting on the front steps when I arrived. He looked terrible, unshaven, shirt wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. For a moment, I almost believed his suffering was genuine. Zoe. He moved to embrace me, but I stepped back. Thank you for coming. Let's not pretend this is a social visit, I said, clutching my purse containing Michaela's carefully prepared documents. I'm here to discuss terms. His face fell. I was hoping we could talk about us first. There is no us anymore, Peter. He flinched but nodded, leading me inside. The house was unnervingly quiet. Where is everyone? I asked as we entered the formal living room. Mom had a charity thing. She'll be back soon. He gestured to the sofa. Can I get you anything? Wine? Water is fine. As he left for the kitchen, I quickly scanned the room. Nothing had changed. The same austere furniture, the same family photos where everyone looked perfect and polished, including me, smiling beside Peter at various events, unaware of the lies surrounding me. My gaze landed on a photo I'd never noticed before. Peter as a teenager with his father. They had the same smile, the same confident posture, like father, like son. Here you go. Peter returned with water for me, scotch for himself. Your mother isn't coming, is she? I asked. He had the decency to look embarrassed. I thought it would be better if we talked alone first. Fine. I opened my purse. These are my terms. Michaela drew them up. He took the papers, skimming them with a deepening frown. This is aggressive. It's fair. 50% of all assets? My family would never... Your family has no say in our divorce. He set the papers down. Zoe, please. I made a terrible mistake. But 5 years of marriage has to count for something. It counted for nothing when you were sleeping with Melissa. He winced at her name. That's over. I ended it. When? After I found out? Or after you bought her that diamond bracelet? The color drained from his face. You went through my things? I went through our things, in our house. I leaned forward. Did you end it with Amanda Reeves too? Or just pay her off? His shock was almost comical. How did you know about her? Does it matter? I stood, suddenly unable to breathe the same air as him. How many were there, Peter, total? He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I once found endearing. This isn't productive. Answer the question. 3, he said quietly, including Melissa. 3 women, 3 betrayals. And those were just the ones he was admitting to. Sign the papers, Peter, or the next conversation we have will be in court. He stood, moving closer. What happened to you? The Zoe I married would never be this cold. The Zoe you married doesn't exist anymore. You killed her. Something shifted in his expression, the wounded act giving way to something harder, more familiar. The real Peter emerging. You know what? Fine. He picked up the papers. But before I sign anything, there's something you should see. He led me down the hallway to Rosalind's study, a room I'd rarely been allowed to enter. My pulse quickened. This was unexpected, and potentially exactly what I needed. After you, he said, opening the door. I stepped inside and froze. Sitting behind Rosalind's desk was Isabel. What is this? I whispered. Peter closed the door behind us. Why don't you ask your best friend? Isabel stood, her face pale. Zoe, I can explain. Explain what? Why you're here? She's been here quite often lately, Peter said, his voice cold. Haven't you, Isabel? She wouldn't meet my eyes. It's not what you think. Really? Because I think my best friend is somehow involved with my husband's family, the family that's been laughing at me behind my back for years. That's not... Tell her, Isabel, Peter interrupted. Tell her how you've been feeding us information, about her meetings with Michaela, about Albert Norris. The room tilted around me. Is that true? Isabel finally looked at me, tears streaming down her face. They have something on my brother. Tax fraud, prison time. I didn't have a choice. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Isabel, my oldest friend, my confidant, the one person I thought I could trust completely. How long? I managed to ask. Since the beginning, Peter answered for her. Who do you think sent Rhea those screenshots in the first place? I stared at Isabel in horror. You set me up? You orchestrated all of this? Not all of it, she whispered. The affair was real. The photos were real. I just helped them control how you found out. Why? Because we needed to know what you'd do, Peter said. how much you knew about the business, who you'd turn to. It all made sickening sense now. They hadn't underestimated me. They'd been manipulating me, testing me, staying one step ahead the entire time. I touched the silver pendant at my throat, wondering if Michaela was compromised too. If this entire plan had been doomed from the start. "I'm so sorry, Zoe," Isabel said, reaching for me. I backed away. "Don't touch me. Don't ever speak to me again." As I turned to leave, Peter blocked the door. "We're not finished here." "Yes," I said, meeting his gaze steadily. "We are." I pushed past him into the hallway, walking as fast as I could without running. Behind me, I heard Isabel call my name, her voice breaking. I didn't look back. I drove blindly, tears blurring my vision. No destination in mind, just away. Away from Peter's smug face. Away from Isabel's betrayal. Away from the wreckage of trust that had defined my life. Eventually, I found myself parked at the overlook where Isabel and I had sat nights ago, discussing my plan. Had she called Peter immediately afterward, reported every word, every intention? The thought made me physically ill. I ripped the pendant from my neck and hurled it into the darkness. Useless now. Compromised like everything else. My phone rang. Michaela. I let it go to voicemail, then it rang again. And again. Finally, I answered. "What? Where are you?" Her voice was tense. "I've been trying to reach you for an hour." "Did you know?" I demanded. "About Isabel?" A pause. "Yes." The admission felt like another blow. "And you didn't tell me?" "I found out yesterday. I've been trying to verify before telling you." She sighed. "I'm sorry, Zoe. I should have warned you." "How did you find out?" "Albert. He's been doing his own digging. Isabel's brother owes significant gambling debts to some people connected to Rosalind. They've been using that leverage for months." I closed my eyes, remembering Isabel's tears. "They have something on my brother. I didn't have a choice." "So she was telling the truth about that part," I murmured. "Probably, but that doesn't excuse what she did." Michaela's voice hardened. "Where are you? I'm coming to get you." "I don't know if I can trust you either." "You can't, not completely." Her bluntness was startling. "You can't fully trust anyone right now, Zoe, but I'm still your best option." She wasn't wrong. I gave her my location. 20 minutes later, her sleek black car pulled up beside mine. She got out, assessed me with a critical eye, then opened her passenger door without a word. We drove in silence for several miles before she spoke. "They're moving faster than we anticipated. Albert's sources say they're liquidating assets, preparing to transfer everything offshore. Because of me. Partially, but this was already in motion. Your discovery just accelerated their timeline." She glanced at me. "Did you get anything useful at Rosalind's?" I laughed bitterly. "Besides the knowledge that my best friend betrayed me, no. The recording device is somewhere at the bottom of the ravine back there." Michaela's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "That was impulsive." "Sue me." We pulled up to a modest house I didn't recognize. "Where are we?" "My place," Michaela said. "You can't go back to Isabel's, and they'll be watching your house and my office. This is the safest option for now." Inside, the home was surprisingly warm. Colorful art on the walls, comfortable furniture, family photos. Not the sterile environment I'd expected from someone so professionally detached. "Sit," she ordered, pointing to the couch. "I'll make coffee." "I don't want coffee. I want answers." "You'll get both." She disappeared into the kitchen. I sank onto the couch, exhaustion finally overtaking me. The events of the past week swirled in my mind, the betrayals layered upon betrayals, the manipulation, the lies. Had any of it been real? My marriage? My friendships? Michaela returned with 2 mugs and a folder. "Drink, then we talk." The coffee was strong and sweet. I hadn't realized how cold I'd been until the warmth spread through me. "Albert is on his way," she said. "He has new information." "Can we trust him?" "More than most. He has as much to lose as you do." She opened the folder. While we wait, look at these. Inside were documents I hadn't seen before: bank statements, property records, offshore account details. What am I looking at? Evidence that doesn't come from Albert's flash drive. Independent verification of everything he claimed. She tapped a statement. This is from a former client of Stevenson Holdings who suspected fraud but was paid to keep quiet. He came forward yesterday. I scanned the papers, a new understanding forming. They've done this before, systematically. Yes, and not just to clients, to family members too. She pulled out another document. Do you recognize this woman? The photo showed a young woman with Peter's eyes and smile. No, who is she? Peter's cousin, Elise. She was written out of the family trust 10 years ago when she threatened to expose some of their practices. Subsequently lost custody of her children in a very suspicious court case where the judge had ties to Rosalind. The doorbell rang. Michaela checked her security camera before opening it to admit Albert, looking even more haggard than when I'd last seen him. They're moving everything tomorrow, he said without preamble. Rosalind's accelerated the timeline. How do you know? I asked. I still have contacts inside, people who owe me. He set his laptop on the coffee table. But that's not the worst part. He pulled up an email chain, messages between Peter and Rhea discussing what to do about the Zoe situation. She knows too much now. We need to discredit her completely before she can cause real damage. Already working on it. The mental health angle is our best bet. I have a contact at Westlake who's willing to help. Perfect. Mom says to make it happen ASAP. Use whatever resources necessary. I felt the blood drain from my face. They're going to try to have me committed? Or something similar, Albert said grimly. Make you look unstable, vindictive, delusional. It's a common tactic when they feel threatened. They can't just lock me up. That's not how it works. No, but they can create enough doubt about your mental state to undermine anything you say about them, especially with Isabel's help. The full scope of their plan hit me. They weren't just protecting their money, they were preparing to destroy me completely. So what do we do? I asked, surprised by the steadiness of my own voice. Michaela and Albert exchanged glances. We have one option left, Michaela said, but it's risky, for all of us. What is it? We go public, tomorrow, before they can move the money or implement their plan against you. She leaned forward. We take everything we have to the FBI and the media simultaneously. That's suicide, Albert protested. We don't have enough concrete evidence yet. We have enough to start an investigation, Michaela countered. And once that happens, others will come forward. They both looked at me, waiting for my decision. I thought about Peter's smug certainty, Rosalind's condescension, Rhea's mockery, about Isabel's tears and the family photo of Peter with his father, about patterns that would continue unless someone broke them. Let's do it, I said, tomorrow. My phone buzzed with a text. Unknown number. I know what they're planning. I want to help. Meet me tonight. Elise. I showed Michaela and Albert the message. It could be a trap, Albert warned. Or it could be the final piece we need, Michaela said. I stared at the message from this woman I'd never met, this other casualty of the Stevenson family's machinations. I'll meet her, I decided, but not alone. They'll recognize me, Albert said. Michaela nodded. And me. But they won't be looking for all three of us together. For the first time in days, I felt something other than despair. Not hope exactly. Something harder, more durable. Resolve. The hotel lobby gleamed with polished marble and soft lighting, the kind of understated luxury the Stevensons favored. I sat in a corner armchair, angled to see both entrances, while Albert positioned himself at the bar and Michaela took a table near the restaurant. We'd arrived separately, taken different routes, checked for tails. The precautions felt melodramatic until I remembered the email chain. Use whatever resources necessary. My hands wouldn't stop trembling. I clasped them around my water glass, trying to appear calm while scanning every face for someone who might be Peter's cousin. At precisely 9 o'clock, a woman entered through the revolving door. Tall, elegant, with the unmistakable Stevenson bearing, shoulders back, chin lifted, the posture of someone who's never questioned their place in the world. But there was something different in her eyes, a wariness I recognized. She spotted me immediately, as if she knew exactly who to look for. Without hesitation, she walked over and sat in the adjacent chair. "Zoe," she said, her voice low, "thank you for coming." Up close, the resemblance to Peter was even stronger, the same jawline, the same mouth. But where his eyes always held calculation, hers showed only exhaustion. "Elise," I acknowledged. "How did you get my number? Albert isn't the only one with contacts." She glanced toward the bar where he sat, then at Michaela. "Smart to bring backup." "Why are we here?" She reached into her purse and withdrew a small leather-bound book. "Because of this." I stared at it. "What is it?" "Rosalind's private ledger. The real one, not the decoy she keeps in her study." She placed it on the table between us. Every transaction, every payoff, every person they've silenced or ruined, including me. My heart raced. "How did you get this?" "I've been watching them for years, waiting for the right moment." A bitter smile crossed her face. "When I heard about you, about what they were planning, I knew it was time." "Why help me? You don't know me." "I know what they do to people who threaten them." Her voice hardened. 10 years ago, I discovered what my uncle, Peter's father, was doing with client funds. When I confronted Rosalind, she gave me a choice. Stay quiet and keep my inheritance, or speak up and lose everything. You chose to speak up. I chose wrong, according to them. She looked away. Within 6 months, I'd lost my home, my reputation, and custody of my children. They planted drugs in my house before a court-ordered inspection. The judge was an old family friend. The casual cruelty of it made my stomach turn. "I'm sorry." "My children are teenagers now. They barely know me." She refocused on me with startling intensity. "But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because you have a chance to do what I couldn't. Take them down completely." I reached for the ledger, but she placed her hand over mine, stopping me. "Before you open this, you need to understand something. Once you use this information, there's no going back. They will come after you with everything they have." "They already are. Not like this." Her grip tightened. "They destroyed my life piece by piece. Made it look like I did it to myself. They'll do the same to you if they get the chance." For a moment, doubt crept in. Was this worth it? The risk, the exposure, the inevitable ugliness? I could still walk away, take a settlement, start over somewhere new. As if reading my thoughts, Elise said, "If you walk away, they win. Again. And they'll keep winning, keep hurting people, keep thinking they're untouchable." I thought of Amanda Reeves, forced to move across the country, of Albert, his career destroyed, of Elise, separated from her children, of all the others documented in this ledger. "I'm not walking away," I said, taking the book from her. She nodded, satisfied. "There's one more thing you should know. Isabel contacted me yesterday." My blood froze. "What?" "She wants to help. Says she has recordings of conversations with Peter and Rosalind that corroborate everything in that ledger." "It's a trap," I said immediately. "Maybe, or maybe she's trying to make amends." Elise stood. "Either way, she'll be at the federal building tomorrow morning at 9. Your choice whether to trust her." With that, she walked away, disappearing through the same revolving door she'd entered through. Albert joined me moments later, followed by Michaela. "Was that really her?" Albert asked. I handed him the ledger. "Yes, and she brought us a gift." His eyes widened as he flipped through the pages. "This is everything. Names, dates, amounts. This is the smoking gun." "Is it enough?" I asked Michaela. "More than enough to launch a federal investigation." She took the ledger, scanning it with professional efficiency. "But we need to move quickly. If they realize this is missing—" "They already do," a voice said behind us. I turned to find Peter standing there, his expression cold and controlled. Rhea flanked him on one side, a man I didn't recognize on the other. "Hello, Zoe," Peter said. "Family meeting?" I stood, forcing myself to meet his gaze. "How did you find us?" "Isabel, of course." He smiled thinly. "She's been quite helpful." "What do you want, Peter?" Michaela asked, subtly sliding the ledger into her bag. "Just a conversation with my wife." His eyes never left mine. "Privately." "That's not happening," Albert said. Peter glanced at him dismissively. The disgruntled ex-employee. How predictable. He refocused on me. 5 minutes, Zoe. That's all I'm asking. Anything you have to say, you can say in front of them. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. "Fine. Have it your way." He stepped closer. "You think you've won something here? That little book doesn't prove anything except that my mother is meticulous about record keeping." "It proves fraud," I said. "Systematic, deliberate fraud. It proves business transactions that you don't understand." He lowered his voice. "Walk away now, Zoe. Take the settlement. Sign the NDA. Live your life. Or what? Or we'll destroy you." The pretense of civility vanished. "Everything you care about. Everyone who helps you. Starting with them." He nodded toward Michaela and Albert. I felt something shift inside me. The last piece of the woman who had loved this man falling away. "No, Peter," I said, my voice steady. "You won't." I pulled out my phone and pressed a button. The recording of our conversation began playing back, crystal clear. "Or we'll destroy you. Everything you care about. Everyone who helps you." His face contorted with rage. "You..." "Me," I agreed. "The wife you underestimated. The woman you thought you could threaten and intimidate into silence." I stepped closer, close enough to see the pulse hammering in his throat. "I'm not afraid of you anymore, Peter, or your family, or your threats." I glanced at Rhea, whose smirk had vanished. "Tomorrow morning, this ledger and everything else we have goes to the FBI, and there's nothing you can do to stop it." For the first time in our relationship, I saw real fear in Peter's eyes. "You're making a mistake," he said, but the conviction had drained from his voice. "No," I replied. "I'm finally correcting one." Morning light streamed through the windows of the federal building as I clutched a coffee that had long gone cold. Michaela sat beside me, reviewing documents one final time before our meeting with the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit. Albert paced nearby, checking his watch every few minutes. "She's not coming," I said, watching the entrance. It was 9:15, no sign of Isabel. "We don't need her," Michaela assured me. "The ledger, Albert's files, the recordings from last night, it's more than enough." I nodded, but couldn't shake the hollow feeling in my chest. Despite everything, some small part of me had hoped Isabel would show up, that there would be an explanation that somehow made sense of her betrayal. "Ms. Burke?" A woman in a dark suit approached. "Agent Larson, we're ready for you now." I stood, smoothing down my blouse with trembling hands. "You've got this," Michaela whispered. The next 3 hours passed in a blur of questions, documents, and recordings. I recounted everything, from the moment I received Rhea's accidental text to the confrontation with Peter last night. Agent Larson and her colleagues listened intently, occasionally exchanging glances that confirmed what we already knew. This was big. "We'll need formal statements from all of you," Agent Larson said when I finished, "and you should be prepared for significant pushback. The Stevensons have powerful connections." "We understand the risks," Michaela replied. "Good." Agent Larson closed her notebook. "Because they're already here." She nodded toward the hallway, where I could see Rosalind through the glass wall, flanked by 2 men in expensive suits, her attorney and Peter. My stomach clenched. How did they know we'd be here? Federal investigations aren't as confidential as people think, especially when the subjects have friends in high places. Agent Larson's expression hardened, but that works both ways. The higher they are, the harder they fall, and the more people notice. She stood. "Wait here. I need to make some calls before we proceed." As she left, Peter's gaze found mine through the glass. The look he gave me wasn't anger or even hatred. It was something worse. Pity. as if I were the one about to lose everything. "Don't let him get to you," Albert said, noticing my expression. "That's exactly what he wants." "I know." But the doubt had already crept in. What if we'd miscalculated? What if their connections were too powerful, their influence too vast? The door opened and I braced myself for Agent Larson's return. Instead, Isabel walked in. She looked terrible, pale, exhausted, her usual polished appearance replaced by something raw and fragile. She carried a small flash drive in her hand. "I'm sorry I'm late," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. No one spoke. The silence stretched, heavy with all the things we couldn't say to each other. Finally, I asked, "Why are you here?" "Because I owe you the truth." She set the flash drive on the table. "Everything is on there. Every conversation I had with Peter and Rosalind, every instruction they gave me, every threat they made against my brother." I stared at the small device. "Why should I believe anything from you now?" "You shouldn't." Her eyes filled with tears. "But the FBI can verify it, and it will corroborate everything else you've told them." Before I could respond, the door opened again. Agent Larson returned, followed by 2 more agents. "Ms. Russell," she acknowledged Isabel. "I see you decided to join us after all." Isabel nodded, pushing the flash drive toward her. "Everything I told you on the phone is on here." My head snapped up. "You've been talking to the FBI?" "For the past 24 hours, Agent Larson confirmed. Ms. Russell contacted us yesterday evening with information about the Stevenson family's attempts to obstruct our investigation." I looked at Isabel in confusion. "I don't understand." "After you left Rosalind's house, I realized what I'd done, what I'd become." Isabel couldn't meet my eyes. "I went to the FBI, told them everything, about my brother's gambling debts, about how the Stevensons used that to make me spy on you, about their plans to discredit you, and about your role in all of it," I added. "Yes." She finally looked at me. "I'm not asking for forgiveness, Zoe. I don't deserve it. But I couldn't let them destroy you too." Agent Larson cleared her throat. "We need to move quickly. Ms. Russell's information suggests the Stevensons are preparing to leave the country." "They're outside right now," I said. "Not anymore." She checked her phone. "My colleagues are detaining them as we speak." As if on cue, raised voices echoed from the hallway. I caught a glimpse of Rosalind's outraged face as she was led away by agents, followed by her attorney. Peter was nowhere to be seen. "Where's Peter?" I asked. Agent Larson's expression was unreadable. "Your husband appears to have left the building shortly after arriving. We have agents looking for him now." A cold weight settled in my stomach. Of course Peter would run. It was what he'd always done when faced with consequences. Retreat, regroup, find another angle. "He'll go to the lake house," I said suddenly. "It's not in his name. It's registered to a shell company." "Are you sure?" Agent Larson asked. "Positive. It's where he always went when he needed to think." I stood. "I can take you there." "That won't be necessary. Just give us the address." "No." The word came out stronger than I expected. "I need to be there. I need to see his face when it ends." Agent Larson studied me for a long moment, then nodded. "You can ride with me, but you stay in the car until we secure the scene." The drive to the lake house took 40 minutes. I sat in silence, watching familiar landmarks pass by. The gas station where we always stopped for snacks, the lookout point where we'd once watched a meteor shower, the narrow road leading to what Peter called our private paradise. As we approached, I could see his car parked haphazardly in the driveway. "He's here," I said. Agent Larson parked at a distance, instructing me to wait while she and the other agents approached the house. I watched through the windshield as they surrounded the property, weapons drawn. Minutes passed. Then Agent Larson emerged, holstering her gun. She walked back to the car and opened my door. "He's inside," she said. "He's asking to speak with you." "Is that safe?" "We've secured the premises. He's unarmed and cooperative." She hesitated. "You don't have to do this." But I was already getting out of the car. "Yes, I do." Peter sat at the kitchen table, hands flat on the surface, an agent standing behind him. He looked up as I entered, his expression unreadable. "You actually did it," he said quietly. I remained in the doorway. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "Honestly, yes." A ghost of his old smile appeared. "The Zoe I married would never have gone this far." "You're right, she wouldn't have." I took a step forward. "But I'm not her anymore." "No, you're not." He studied me with something almost like respect. "What happens now? Now you face consequences, maybe for the first time in your life." He nodded slowly. "And you? What do you get out of all this?" I thought about everything I'd lost. My marriage, my best friend, my sense of security. But also about what I'd found. My strength, my voice, the truth. "I get to stop being afraid," I said. "I get to stop wondering if anything in my life was real. I get to start over." Peter looked away, the reality of his situation finally seeming to sink in. When he spoke again, his voice was barely audible. "I did love you, Zoe, in the beginning." I felt nothing at his words. No pain, no longing, not even anger. Just a quiet certainty that I was finally free. "I know," I said, "but it wasn't enough." I turned to leave, then paused in the doorway. "Goodbye, Peter." Outside, the lake glittered in the morning sun. I took a deep breath of clear air, feeling the weight of the past week, of the past 5 years, begin to lift. Agent Larson approached. "Ready to go?" I nodded, taking one last look at the house where I'd once believed I was happy. "Yes," I said. "I'm ready."